We could take Greenland. We could take Copenhagen. We could take Portugal. We could take Spain. We could take all of it. Try. You think the United Kingdom could stop us? Try. Seriously, try. They can't stop Russia. They can't stop China. You think they could stop us? I'm getting really sick of this belligerence from the Europeans. I don't know who they think they are. They get together and say, well, we're demanding a collective security agreement for Ukraine. We already let the United States use Greenland. I don't know what they're on about. They need to have it. We need to have it because you can't defend it. Denmark does not have a military-industrial complex. As far as we're concerned, they don't have a military. That's why we need to have it. We need to have it because we can defend it. You can't. And you can't defend it because you've spent all your money on welfare for Africans. That's the difference. You can't defend it because for the last 100 years, we've spent all our money on bombs and planes and guns and tanks and aircraft carriers, and you spent it on free healthcare and free education so that you wouldn't have the burden. You're welcome. They say, why do you have to have it? Because you cannot defend it.
That's it.
Greenland can't defend themselves. Denmark can't defend Greenland. The whole European Union couldn't defend Greenland from China or from us. So they shouldn't have it. If it's a national security interest for us, then we must have it. Enough with these, exercises. We're going to pay obeisance to these, Western European countries with no military. Hey, guys, can we buy this from you? What do you mean? It's totally crazy. And I think on some level, that is part of the frustration. It is that we pay for this giant military. We have suffered from social atomization, and we no longer get any of the benefits of any of it. Right? You and your parents and your grandparents have been paying for this giant military for our entire lives. And we don't have any of the benefits of it. We just get humiliated everywhere. We lose everywhere. We invade countries. It really doesn't even matter to us. It's not really, we do it on behalf of Israel. So we have this empire, but none of the benefits of it. We don't have any of the decisive, tangible victories. We neglect our own neighborhood while fighting in Israel's neighborhood. And as it pertains to capitalism, we have this free market system, this international trade system, a fiat money system, and we're not even rich anymore. And we're not even rich. Nobody's even rich anymore. People have roommates. People are 29 with roommates. They're building these tiny homes where you have to climb a ladder to get to a loft. You have the shrinkflation at Chipotle and everywhere else. So the spirit of our nation has been killed. The vitality of our nation has been killed by empire and capitalism. But we don't even have the benefits. We're not rich and we're not powerful. So how do we reverse this? We need to give a life-affirming spirit to our country, and we need to enthusiastically embrace mercantilism, autarky, empire. Let's breathe some life into the country. Let's start taking some territory for ourselves. Let's make it work for us. Let's make ourselves rich and powerful again. Let's take Greenland. Let them worry about it. You want to protect Ukraine? You start spending some money on your military. You see? Europe has been getting free healthcare and free pot and free education because we defend them. Now you want us to defend Ukraine on your behalf. You pay for your military. We're pulling up the drawbridge to Fortress America here. We take Greenland. So anyway, that's a truly America first mentality. And people need to get more in the spirit of that. That is what America is. People need to get comfortable that is what America has always been. When has America ever stopped expanding? Question. All these people want to talk about heritage Americans. I'm sorry, are we still 13 colonies? People talk about founding stock. Well, what happened after we founded the country? We just kept expanding. always more territory, more war, more conquest, more settlements. And when we took the whole continental United States, we went into the oceans, more. Puerto Rico, Guam, Philippines, Cuba, Alaska, Hawaii. And then after World War II, we built a global empire. We built U.S. bases in Japan and Germany, everywhere in the world. This is what we always do. So people say we need to get back to this time when America's a republic and, we just hang out within our own borders. No, wrong. We need an imperial presidency for an American empire. We've been in one for a long time, but we don't call it that. We've done it for everybody else. It's been this altruistic empire. We need to become an empire that is America first. We need to start getting some of the benefits. So take Greenland. Hey, Greenland, you can buy it, fine, buy it. You don't want to upset the Europeans. I understand that. There's arguments behind that, which we could flesh out at another point. Buy it, do it through in a way that's legitimizing, but acquire Greenland, acquire Canada, acquire Venezuela, acquire Cuba, acquire Colombia. And a lot of people disagree with this. They say this is a terrible idea. We want to add all these people to our country. We have to reimagine everything. And I said it at the top of the show kind of jokingly. I said, on the show I'm always talking about how America should expand, and people say, well, if you expand America, you're just throwing your borders around more brown people, and then they're going to vote for Democrats. Who said anything about letting them vote? Giving them electoral representation? Nobody said that. Nobody said that at all. And we didn't even say necessarily we would formally annex them, but just take control over the situation. It's staggering how many people just negotiate against themselves. And this is why I do have some admiration for these autocrats in other countries, because they just go and do it. China is just building ships 400 times more tonnage than we are even capable of. They're just doing it. They want to contest the border with India. They just build whole new towns on the border with India. They send a bunch of people there. They build highways, bridges, airports. They build whole cities and nobody even lives in them. And, that's not like a good economic policy, but they just do it. They build islands in the middle of the South China Sea. It's totally illegal. They do it anyway. They just have this can-do mentality. And I wish we had that in America. Instead, we have this very small thinking. We got to get away from a petty, small version of American nationalism where it says like, hey, man, we just want to take over the government to leave everybody alone. We want to withdraw all our bases and, we just want to close the borders and we just want to hang out and be chill. We need to embrace a larger perspective of what America first can be. And that means putting ourselves on a global scale. So I'm totally in favor of it. And that doesn't mean giving women the right to vote in Afghanistan. It means, take the minerals that we need. Why would we be in a hostage situation over rare earths with China just go and invade the other countries that have them? I'm not worried about building a democracy in Afghanistan so that women have the right to vote. I'm worried if we have the critical minerals that we need, the antimony and, rare earths and bauxite and copper and lithium and uranium, and we want the things that we need. Those are the kinds of interventions that we need. We need territory to defend the Western Hemisphere. We need platforms to control international trade. We need to control the choke points. We need to have a reliable source of energy, not just fossil fuels, but everything else. This is what we need to do. We need to win the race in the 21st century. So I love it. And I just love the spirit of it. I really am a huge believer. This is the last thing I'll say about it. I really am just a believer in the vibe. I see these edits on TikTok and Instagram, they play Around the World, that old song, that like electro pop, like Euro pop song from the 90s, Around the World. And it's a map of the U.S. flag in America, Greenland, Cuba, Venezuela. And I'm like, this is changing the consciousness. It's surreal. This feels like the future is being brought forth. Because for so long, my entire life, you grow up in America, and there's this suffocating sense of dread that the best times are behind us. Doesn't it feel like that? That the best times are not only behind us, but they're long gone. We are on the other side of the hill, and all that is left for us is to see our country slowly die and deteriorate and then cease to exist. That is the consciousness that we grew up in. People say it's a late stage empire, late stage republic. All that is waiting for us is ruin. It's a slow, inexorable descent into the and all the good stuff is behind us, and it's just over. And on top of that are these feelings of guilt and shame. This feeling that we are not capable of doing anything. We're weak. We lost. We were in control, and now we're not. We had all the power, and now we don't. It was our time, and now it isn't. Now it's someone else's turn. We are at the back of the line, and the future belongs to every other country. The future belongs to China. The future belongs to India. We used to have our rule of the roost, and now it's our turn to shut up, get put in our place, and listen to the UN. Like, that has been the feeling our whole lives as a society, as a civilization, and it weighs on us as individuals. Why would anyone dream big? Why would anyone have dreams, aspirations, if this is our country? What's the end game? Go and get some office job, see a movie, go on vacation, wait to be replaced by Indians and Hispanics and Chinese people and Muslims? And here we are in the 2020s, and you sort of raise your eyebrow. You go, whoa, what's that over there? America's getting bigger? Colonialism isn't over? We can actually just do things? We can kidnap a dictator? We can take Greenland? America's growing again? There's a spirit of revival? There's a spirit of growth? There's a spirit of adventure? There's a sense of confidence? Taking what we want, doing what is in our best interest? We can stick up for ourselves? Our survival and prosperity matters. We can fight for it like every other nation does. We're in the fight still. We're still in the game. I like that feeling. I like the idea. Yeah, Greenland. Didn't know about it. Now it's ours. Never heard of it. Know nothing about it. It's the latest U.S. territory that our strong and powerful and respected president just annexed. Maybe I'll go there sometime. I don't know, because I can. I like that. I like that idea. I like that feeling. And even if, again, I think Trump is very incompetent. I think that, there's a lot of things he's not doing well. But I've always said that he really embodies, even if he is not the fulfillment of it, even if he is an imperfect instantiation, he embodies something powerful. He's tapping into something powerful. A strong leader, American revanchism, self-confidence on the world stage. It's not something I think that we have a lot of opportunities to get. This doesn't come around a lot, and I think we're getting less of it all the time. So I do embrace it. There's something really remarkable, especially where we came from, because I think it's very important that I grew up in the Obama years. Like, my childhood was in the Obama years. And so as a very young boy, you grow up with the Iraq War being a disaster. We're in the recession. And the idea is that America is the bad guy. We're the evil empire. We're criminals. Our leaders lied us into a war. We're just a big, corrupt, stupid country. I think about that Jeff Daniels monologue from the newsroom. That was like, oh my gosh, that was like the viral clip of my childhood. That clip from Jeff Daniels in the newsroom where he says, When you say America's the #1 country in the world, I don't know what you're talking about. The only thing America leads the world in is people in prison, military spending, and people that believe in angels. And many of the Jews on the left made us feel this way. They made us feel like Jon Stewart made us feel like dumb Fuckistan. He made us feel like we're a big country of dumb Christians and corrupt politicians that went to war for oil, and we're the bad guys. We terrorize everybody. We're the real invaders. We are now the evil empire. And then Obama comes in with all these other smart-ass liberals, and they were telling our country, your time is over. America's not exceptional. America's not great. The Monroe Doctrine is over. We have to ask the UN. We're ready to bow to every other country. We're ready to bow to the president of Cuba. We're ready to bow to the whole world and just surrender everywhere. So compared to where we came from to where we are now, we have a president that's flipping people off, and they call him daddy in Europe, and he's pulling dictators out of bed and throwing them in jail. He wants to invade Greenland. I love it. I have to be honest with you. I love it. I don't like bombing Iran. I think that's a bad idea. And I don't think the mass deportations are happening enough. But the energy, this is the real last thing I'm going to say. So here's the trick. We have to get in the middle of these feelings. What do I mean by this? Trump is phase 1. Trump breaks down the door, shatters the Overton window. He makes it possible. He is 1.0. He is the John the Baptist figure. He wakes everybody up, defeats the media, political correctness. But he does not complete the mission. He does not fulfill the aspirational promise of MAGA and America First. But he lights the fire. He sparks the embers. How do you get in the middle? The question is about succession. We're fighting for control of the narrative about Trump. And there's a few narratives. One, Trump is a sellout, a con man, a failure. He was always a con man. He was always a failure. He was compromised along the way. We throw his legacy in the garbage. It's nothing. That's one narrative. The other narrative in the middle. Well, Trump is doing a really great job, and we got to keep America great. We got to vote for J.D. Vance as vice president. Trump started it, and we got to keep it going. Trump is the greatest president, and we got to keep the winning coming. And we got to keep these moderate solutions going. Narrative number 3. Trump has the right idea. America first, make America great again, saying Merry Christmas again. These are powerful ideas. But they're ideas that cannot be fully realized in one presidential term, in one decade, by one man. He started the fight, but he was limited by the circumstances of his time. We're frustrated with the lack of progress. We're frustrated with how he was sabotaged, subverted, in some ways perhaps compromised. But we have to build upon his legacy. We have to take the torch, the true inheritors of America First, and deepen it, expand it, carry it forward. We have to get more radical, not less. We have to be right-wing progressives. We have to take it further than Trump did. Trump says, I want to deport the illegal gang members. I say take away the naturalization of people that have no allegiance to the country. Trump says, we'll administer Venezuela, appoint a viceroy. Take the oil. Restrain Israel. Forget about bombing Iran. Restrain Israel. Trump is going to cut down waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government, eliminate entire departments, entire agencies, build new ones, build new systems, new agencies, new departments. Have to take it further, have to go harder. And the reason why the latter is the best is because if you go and tell everybody, hey, the last 10 years was all terrible, it's very demoralizing. it also puts you at odds with a lot of people that did fight and sacrifice for this very big and successful political movement. Whatever you want to say about it, Trump tapped into something, won these two huge elections with 60 million, 70 million voters. And there's a lot of people that are emotionally, professionally, personally invested in it. And to turn around and say, oh, it's all bad, it's all awful, it's all a mistake, it puts you at odds with those people. It makes it as though we're in vain. It's very demoralizing. And I also think it's just wrong. I don't think that everything Trump did was a mistake. I think that on net, Trump is good. Defeating political correctness, getting people to think of America first, changing the conversation on immigration. 10 years ago, nobody was talking about mass deportations. Nobody was even talking about like building a border wall. It just wasn't there. Now, that's where the new right-wing consensus is. Build a wall, mass deportations, not good enough, restrict legal immigration. So I also just think it's wrong. On net, there's many good things about Trumpism. It's just that, like with any movement, it is subject to constraints, limitations, political realities. And so our job is to take the baton and carry it forward and really just be inspired by that energy. That is so much of the battle, is just waking up and believing that we can do the impossible. And that means dreaming. It's very important to dream big, dreaming of an American empire. It's important to imagine what we want. And what I don't want is like some wholesome Chungus republic. No, we're not living and fighting and dying so that you can work in a nail factory like your grandpap did and marry some, Midwestern mid and have a couple of kids out on the no, that's actually not aspirational. So many of these people, the heritage Americans, they say, there's plenty of cheap property in like rural Indiana. And if you work at the nail factory that's polluting the river, you can buy a $100,000 2-bedroom shanty and find some gas station mid, or better yet, you could run a Subway franchise. And it's like, we want a Roman Empire in space. That gets people excited. This does not running a Subway franchise does not get people excited. So it's important to dream. It's important to think big. It's important to understand that, we need people to really, the power of belief cannot be overstated here. So anyway, so that's that. But I do want to move on. We'll take a look at our super chats. That's my take on Greenland. But let's see. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. I'm going to get set up here, and we'll listen in. I don't know how anybody doesn't relate to that. I guess it's a generational thing. Because I noticed that when I was supporting the intervention in Venezuela, it was all like Gen X people that were like, "Duh, we can't go to war." But all the Zoomers loved it. All the Zoomers on Instagram and TikTok, they love it. It's the Gen Xers that are like, "Hey, bro, this is like the Iraq War." Millennials and Xers, they don't get it. All right, but let's take a look at the super chats. Let's see what you guys have to say about all this. We've got a lot of them. All right, let's see. Let me take a look here. Here we go.
John Porter sent $55. W. Alex Jones, offering his daughter for marriage to you. Just the way it should be and the way it's always been up until recently. Imagine the kind of uproar the media would be in if you someday get into the White House and your wife was a child of the OG conspiracy theorist of the 21st century. It would fix the space-time continuum.
That was crazy. I think he was just trolling his daughter a little bit. I don't know, though. Hey, is that a serious offer? I'd consider it. Good stock, good genes. Look at Alex. Guy's he's built like a bull. It's insane. He's just like pure muscle. He's a human weapon. So, and very smart. And just like a total maniac. Bundle of energy. So, hey, I don't know. Is that a serious offer? Good stock. That'd be a very interesting political marriage. Could you imagine? Could you imagine an America First InfoWars marriage? The daughter of Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes. That would, so, I didn't want to play too much into it because if he's joking, that's creepy. I don't want to be creeping on his daughter if he's totally joking. But if he's kind of joking and kind of serious, unless, I don't know. So, yeah, that was kind of funny, though. But we love Alex. Great guy.
Bald Grower sent $25. He could read some books, was crazy. She's a Catholic, and I doubt she's even read the Bible. Only book I've ever heard her talk about is Chaos.
Yeah, when she said that, I thought the same thing. I'm like, bro, you read one book, which is Chaos by, what is it, Tom O'Neill or something like that? I forget the guy's name. That's the only book I think she's ever read.
Hugh G. Rection.
I don't even think she read it. I don't think she can read.
Hugh G. Rection sent $20. Hey, Nick, I've just recently become interested in thinking. I've had some trouble formulating some of my own ideas, though. Do you have any recommendations?
Okay.
Paul Richard sent $30. It's clear Candace has an inferiority complex as a black woman. I think your genuine anti-feminism and the race/IQ debate broke her when she realized she might actually be low IQ after she thought she was a genius for discovering the JQ in her 30s. Hence why she always attacks you for your views on women and on race.
That's 100% true. That is 100% unironically true. She is very insecure about her intelligence as a black person, as a woman. And when I said that, I humiliated her because I totally got the better of her in that exchange, and all her fans were clowning on her. I told her, Egypt is a different race than Africa, hon, and all the rest of it. So she just got completely outclassed. And I remind her all the time, like, you don't know anything. You thought the Russian Revolution happened in the 1870s. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm sure that hurt her feelings a lot. I'm sure it made her very insecure. So I don't think that's, that's just true. That's just obviously the case.
Cuban Overlord sent $50. America first, you filthy animals.
Yep, absolutely.
Respect to Jay Weapon, rape the lab. I'm watching the hyphenated heresy. At 1:41 and 58 seconds, they exhort young men to not leave a Zionist church due to frustration with the theology, but to try better the church from within. Saying that with a straight face as a Protestant with no trace of self-awareness for the irony. Man face palming emoji. Come home.
Did he say that? I didn't see that clip. Look, I don't know the rules about being Protestant. I would just say if you're a Protestant, become a Catholic. If you're in a Zionist Protestant church, leave and become Catholic would be my recommendation.
$20. Do you have any interest in cars, and what are your thoughts on people who are into it as a hobby? Just got my America First hat and have to say the quality is incredible. Nicest hat I own.
Wow. Well, thank you for the endorsement. We have the best. Ultramethylene blue. We have the best. America First hats. We have the best. Yes, the hats are made in America, super high quality. I love the InfoWars advertisements because every time I'm on the show, they're blasting in my ear, and it's like you're being brainwashed. It's like I memorized all of them. My favorite InfoWars ad is the George Soros Macy's Day Parade float. Whoever makes that stuff is a genius. Whoever's making the InfoWars, what do they call those, like liners and other stuff? It's genius. But yeah. I love the testimonial. The hats are very high quality. Thoughts on cars? I think it's awesome. I wish I knew something about cars. I'm an idiot. I have no idea about cars at all. I wish I had a technical expertise. It never sticks. I'm not passionate about it. When I was a little kid, I was really into science. And so I read about technology, and I really wanted to be a doctor, so I read all about medical stuff. Then I fell in love with politics, and honestly, I just can't retain any information. So I don't know anything about cars or machines. I wish I did because it's very cool and good, and I wish I did. It's awesome. And cars are awesome. And cars are that's the most American thing. To have a car, I feel like. I know it's been said before, but the freedom in America is the ability to just get in your car and go anywhere. We have this huge country, wide open, everything and anything you can think of, and you could just get in your car and just go. And there's something so beautiful about that. Get in your car, go, hit up a gas station, and the best is you could drive for 30 hours. And you start in one place, end up in another, and it's you could still go into a gas station and get a Coke. You could still stop into a diner and get a cheeseburger. You still go at 2 a.m. to a 24-hour diner lit up and get a cheeseburger and a milkshake. Like, that's America. I love that. So I'm a huge believer in cars as a technology.
Never blink when bluffing sent $20. Why don't you mention the 2 mil self-deportations this year? Put Strump on exact track to undo Biden's 10 mil. Also, your face looks slimmer. You used to have the cute chubby baby fat. Are the nips droopy?
Because that's not real. Why don't I ever mention it? Because it's not real. Let me tell you where that number comes from. They took the 600,000 deportations they have, which is 300,000 removals and 300,000 arrests. I hope you know that. They've arrested 300,000. They have removed 300,000. They're adding that number to the 1.4 million self-deportations. And they got that number from the American Community Survey, or I think it's the Family Survey. It is a mid-decade survey put out by the U.S. Census. So 2025 was halfway through the decade. They survey 65,000 households. 65,000. And from that survey, they determined that there were 1.5 million fewer illegal immigrants in the country, fewer foreign-born people with no residency. I forget exactly how they determined that. But of course, if Trump is elected and he says we're locking everybody up, be aware, ICE is deporting everybody, and you put out a survey and say, hey, are you an illegal immigrant? Do you think illegal immigrants are going to answer the survey and say, yeah, I'm an illegal immigrant, here's your survey back? Of course not. So you have a bias in the data. It's a small sample size, and there is a bias in the data. The people that are answering that call are not going to answer honestly, or they're not going to answer it at all if they're illegal. So, they're extrapolating this 1.6 million number from this small survey that they did, and there is a non-response bias in the data. So everybody's citing that. Federation for American Immigration Reform. What's the other one? CIS, Center for Immigration Studies. They're all citing this bullshit study. Dude, DHS doesn't even believe it. Okay? I can tell you for a fact, people in Homeland Security, they don't even believe that number. They know it's fucking bullshit. Homeland Security, they know it's horseshit. They're putting that out as propaganda because they want to reassure the base that they're doing more than they are. So the number that we need from DHS is the number of deportations. What number, you might ask? The number of deportations. Did you know that the federal government keeps track of every single deportation they carry out? They know the exact number to the single person. How many people have been removed by ICE? Do you know that there are reporting requirements for ICE? They have to put out a quarterly report and actually also weekly reports. How many people are deported? Do you know they have not put out those numbers since Trump got into office? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they have the number of deportations? They won't put it out. They're actually suppressing that information. They're hiding behind this bullshit number from the census that they don't even believe of self-deportations. Why do you think that is? It's because the number of deportations is low. It's too low, and they know it, and they know people won't be happy. So they say, well, we've deported 2 million. They're padding that. They're padding that. Like 75% of that is padded by some bullshit survey. They've extrapolated this number. It has no basis in reality. That's why I never mention it. It's fake.
Burn looks at $100. Did you hear about Thomas Sewell and the Nationalist Socialist Network deciding to completely disband due to new Australian laws? Thoughts?
I did see that. I'm not surprised. Thank you for the big super chat. I'm not surprised at all. I told you that's the direction it was going to go, and I don't believe in wearing costumes, LARPing as Nazis. And people don't seem to understand the difference. People always like to say, yeah, well, you talk about Hitler and you supported Kanye and blah, blah. There is all the difference in the world between appropriating Hitler for our political purposes, which is what we're doing, and cargo culting Hitler. You understand the difference? Cargo culting means we're going to dress like them, we're going to talk like them, we're going to act like them, and maybe we'll get the same outcome that they did. And that is just like a logical error. Like the Nazis didn't succeed because they wore black. They didn't succeed because they gave an angry speech. Like they succeeded because of the particular material conditions that existed at the time, which were very specific to Germany, post-unification, in the interwar period, the peace that was imposed, certain, you could say, intrinsic attributes about the German world sense. You know, this is some anti-German people say this, like and other historians like A.J.P. Taylor, they say it was inevitable that the Germans would like National Socialism. And there are some people that say, well, if we dress like Hitler and if we act like Hitler, we'll be like Hitler. What we are doing is appropriating the narrative about Hitler for our present time. So Hitler is a bludgeon against anybody that's pro-white, Israel critical. And what we are doing is re-examining that, reframing it in that context and saying, well, why does the Holocaust matter for Americans in the 21st century? We're sort of delegitimizing the narrative they've built up around him. And we're saying, we're going to take the symbol of Hitler. We're going to take even the name Hitler. We're going to take all these things. And we're going to pantomime them. We're going to throw them in your face. You don't want us to say it, we're going to say it. We're going to stretch it out, and we're going to blow it up. And we're almost, going to become a parody of it. Nigga, Heil Hitler. It's like a ridiculous statement. A black guy saying, I'm a Nazi, I'm white, nigga, Heil Hitler. Don't you understand the contradiction? Nigga, Heil Hitler? It's a ridiculous statement. You know, hey, nigga, Heil Hitler. It's a ridiculous statement. And it is meant to say something edgy and funny to break the taboo. And the taboo has been created to suppress those particular ideas. Pro-white, Israel critical. That's the sacred cow. That's the religion. That is what is sacrosanct. Why is it important to do this? Because for so long, if you were ever pro-white or Israel critical, people say you're a Nazi. And this has extraordinary emotional power. Because when people hear Nazi, they think about those poor, that movie, that show, my experience at the museum, blah, blah. So when you're called a Nazi and it has any kind of credibility, this has emotional weight with people and it turns people off. But if people start to say, Nazi, come on now, get real, oh, that again? I don't know, it's kind of funny. You know, nigga, Heil Hitler. Like, why are we still talking about this? Well, now you've defanged one of their biggest weapons. That's the difference. So people say all the time, it's just like in The Dark Knight. What makes you so special? Why do you get to do it? It's like, we're not marching around in costumes. We're not cargo culting. That's the difference. So anyway, yeah, the LARPing has to stop. But I appreciate the big super chat. Thank you very much.
Mr. Liquor Store sent $20. Nick Fuentes goes hard as fuck 2026.
Fuck yeah. Every day.
Yankee 700 sent $20. Sup, nigga. Love the show you did with Joel Webben recently. Joel Webben is super based.
Thanks. Yeah, I like Joel a lot. He's a good guy.
Average John 93 sent $50. Charlie Kirk just got 144 receiving yards on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. He won't stop fucking with that time machine.
I don't get that, but thanks.
Jimmy P sent $20. Should baseball bring back steroids? Nothing more American than a bunch of juiced up brothers socking 500-foot dingers.
No, I don't support steroids.
Childrich 94 sent $20. Merch for your growing pets. Aren't you a bit curious on your female following? Respectfully take more of my money plaza.
Not even in the slightest. I don't even want to know. I can't even imagine what type of woman would not be offended. Because the show is for men. This show is for men. So I almost want, if I ever get married, I almost want my wife to not like the show. To be like, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe. Because I feel like that's almost normal. The show is outrageous, and it's like it's a show for guys. This is how I talk when I'm with my friends. And it's for other guys to be like, fuck yeah, like that's relatable. It's not for women, because women are a different animal. When you talk to women, you talk to them differently. So the type of women that could watch the show, like, what's wrong with you? No, not actually, but like, why do you like the show? Like, what's up with that? Is that a pick-me thing? Is it because I'm handsome? No, but I'm kidding. I appreciate it. So, no, I'm not. I feel like I don't want to know the answer to that question, what they're really like.
Average John 93 cent, $50. Don't be too hard on the new red pillars. After you were banned, we were grateful to find you. We've been reading, learning, listening, and rejoining churches. You inspire people who don't have motion.
And I'm really not hard on them. I'm hard on people who were red-pilled yesterday and then think they know everything. We welcome everybody in. If you're newly red-pilled, that's fine. But people come in and they're totally wrong. Because they just didn't put in the reps. They didn't put in the hours. They're a neophyte. They haven't been in this for a long time. And so they fall into a lot of common traps. And then they want to start gatekeeping. And it's like, okay, so I don't really have a problem if you disagree with me. You're wrong about something. You're mistaken. But people have a fraction of the knowledge. They haven't been doing this a long time. And then they want to crown themselves as the authority and say, well, now I am the standard, and I am the gatekeeper. And if you don't agree with me, you're on the other team. It's like, well, you just got here yesterday, so I don't really think you're in a position to do that.
Red Heifer sent $20. Now that you're rich, have you repaid that girl from college for pizza at Cheesecake Factory?
No, because she got a black boyfriend, so absolutely not. No, never. I feel bad. I mean, she was a nice girl. Well, I don't know. She wasn't that nice. Kind of made it better, actually. I don't know if she's watching or if she'd ever see this, but she was cute. She was cute, and she was nice. But you know what? She was just too crazy. She had like this crazy look in her eyes, which was kind of hot. She was kind of like, I'll say this much. She was a little bit loopy in a way that was kind of attractive. Like, I'll never forget, I was in my dorm sleeping, and she was pounding on the door, and she woke me up, and I was like trying to fall back asleep, and then she wakes me up. She's in the room, yelling at me. I'm like, how the fuck did you get in here? My roommate let her in. I'm like, why would you do this? But that kind of persistence kind of turned me on. I can't lie, it was kind of attractive. So I forget that happened. So it was so long ago. But yeah, she would take us out to eat. We go to T. Anthony's. We go to Tasty Burger. We go to Cheesecake Factory. And this was big. She was like my sugar mommy because I was broke. She was loaded. Her parents were loaded. They were from, I don't want to give out all her information, but like her parents were loaded. And so she got this big allowance. She was taking us out all the time. Me and my buddy. That I don't want to dox everybody involved, but she would take me out, take me and my friend out, and we would get T. Anthony's mozzarella stick pizza. The last day I was in Boston, just me and her went to Legal Seafood at the Prudential Center. She took us to Cheesecake Factory, and she bought us cheesecake to take home. And I was broke as a joke. I had no money. I was hungry. Like, I was literally a hungry-ass nigga. And she was buying us food. It was insane. And she kind of had a crush on me. But here's the thing. You know what she was always doing? And this is how she kind of psyched me out. She was always saying, like, oh, I have multiple boyfriends, and oh, this and that. And that's why I was kind of like, I'm never going to date you, because she kind of gave off the vibe that she was like, that she got around a lot. But she was cute enough. She was buying us food. She was persistent. So I was like, fuck it. Another round of cheesecakes. But yeah, then we got in like a big fight a year after college. She treated me like shit. I saw her. I hadn't seen her in a long time. She was really mean to me. And then she got this black boyfriend. I was like, just forget it after that. Absolutely not. So, no, I'm not going to pay her back. She was a little nutty. And that's just what happens. But, yeah. Just another Bronx tale. From the good old days. Yeah.
We are Wolves 927 sent $20. Nick, my father passed away on January 4th, and everything you said about calling your parents is true. I used to call him every day, and now I miss those calls. He was a fan of yours and enjoyed your show.
Wow, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But God bless. I'm glad he loved the show. Sounds like a family of Groypers, but I'm really sorry to hear that, man.
Brandon06 sent $20. How can you be anti-capital punishment when you say Renee Good getting shot is a good thing? It is justified, but that doesn't make it good.
Because we're in a war. I view that as a casualty of war. She is a terrorist, and now she is dead.
Soy Guy sent $20. Why didn't anyone mention how P. Morg upped the total to 12 meters in your interview with him? Christ is king. Prayers for your mother, brother.
Yeah, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but that is like the total when you factor in like the gypsies and everybody else that Hitler killed. For those that don't know, they say that Hitler killed 12 million in total, but like 6 million in the Jewish Holocaust. I don't want to like everybody's saying, wait, since when did it get up to 12 million? But I believe that is the figure of like Hitler's total casualties in the genocide, the official number. So that's what he meant by that.
Boys, Ed sent $25. What can be done to disincentivize domestic companies from using overseas labor? I work in e-commerce and have to deal with Indians more often than not. It's a miserable experience for everyone from the merchants to the customers, but companies can't pass up the cheap labor.
Tariffs. Put tariffs on everything.
They're all for sent $200. Appreciate all you do. I wanted to ask, how can we put America first if American society is completely governed by Israeli elites?
Okay. So that is most of what this show is about every single day, and it has been for 10 years. So if you want my longer answer to that question, that's kind of the purpose and message of this show. But I appreciate the big super chat. How can we put America first if there's like these other people that want to put it last? So America first implies the existence of America last, and it sort of implies that America is currently being put last. It's sort of the whole point of what I'm doing and why I do it.
Platho sent $20.
Thank you,
I believe in the gas chambers because Nazis also herded villagers into barns to burn them in one stroke, so it's the same tactic as gas chambers, but they used what was at hand. Okay. The last revolutionary sent $20. I know it wasn't your main point, but feminists have completely dominated men with the word pedo. They took what was natural male sexuality for all human history and conflated it with child fucking to shame men away from it and artificially increase the sexual value of hags. How old was Mary again when God impregnated?
Dude, brother, so true. So true. That is so absolutely true. And listen, you niggas are not ready for that conversation, but Jeff Epstein, not a pedophile. But you're not ready for that conversation. All of his victims, 14 to 17. That's not pedophilia. But y'all niggas ain't ready for that conversation. People say that's normalizing pedophilia. No, that's defining pedophilia. Pedophilia is sex with children. Children are people that are before the age of sexual maturity. Now, you can have your opinion and your taste and your ethics and your morals, but after the age of 14, that is past the point of sexual maturity, just period, biologically. And all of these feminists and all of their accomplices, the simps, they all want to say there's only two genders. They want to talk about reproduction and genitals. Okay, let's talk about reproduction and genitals. When do men and women reach the age of sexual maturity? It ain't 18. It isn't 20. I've seen women say, a 20-year-old girl is a literal child. No, sorry, she's not even a figurative child, let alone a literal child. Do you know what canon law in the Catholic Church says? It says the minimum age to get married is 14 for women, 16 for men. That's the canon law of the Catholic Church. So, you want to pull rank on me with morality? I would take you there. And by the way, that's how it was for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Do you know when age of consent became a thing? Like 30 years ago. That is a second wave feminist artifact. But you people are not ready for that. Because ultimately, feminism is the matrix. And that is how women have browbeaten men with this, pedo, rapist, misogyny, all these words to prop up women's rights. That's ultimately what it's about. It's about women completing high school and going to college. That's what it is. The only reason, and let me tell you this, I'm not in favor of like everybody go have sex with 14-year-olds. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that The only reason that people are so horrified when people talk about like 16 and 17 not really being immoral, it's because we have a culture of casual sex and pornography and hookups and prostitution. That's why. Why is it considered completely depraved at age 17 and a half versus 18? Because we hate the idea of young, vulnerable girls being preyed upon by strange men, by pimps, by pornographers. That's why it is abhorrent. Because there is something true about that. If you are grooming a child into sex, if you are, or I should say a teenager, if you're grooming a teenager into sex, if you're grooming a teenager into prostitution, pornography, that is especially wicked because teenage girls are vulnerable. Teenage girls arguably cannot make those decisions. But that is only because we live in a society where that kind of predation is happening. And that's where it starts to make sense when women say a 19-year-old is a child. Well, no, a 19-year-old isn't a child. However, a 19-year-old teenage girl might be just as susceptible to grooming as a 17-year-old. That's why it seems arbitrary. A 19-year-old teenage girl, an 18-year-old teenage girl might be just as susceptible to manipulation and grooming as a 17 or 16-year-old girl by a man who only wants sex from her without marrying her, by a man that wants to pimp around, that wants, whatever, all these things that are happening in our society. So what are we really talking about? What we're talking about is women being taken advantage of. And we're saying that it is especially heinous when a younger, more vulnerable girl is taken advantage of. Consent is not, I don't think that's really a real thing. I think that's like a feminist construct. And these like legal limits, I think that's very arbitrary. What we're talking about is younger girls that are sexually mature being taken advantage of. But take that up with a society that doesn't value marriage. Here's the difference. In the old days, girls would get married at 16. And I think far fewer people would object to that. Some people still might. Girls would get married at 15, 16, 17. But you recognize that that's different. If they're in a marriage where they're being provided for, they're going to have kids, they're going to become a mother, they're going to build a life with a man who's going to love them, that's different